Can I Not Marry audio web novel Chapter 6 The President's Old Madam. The first time sleeping on such a superior quality bed, student Du Lacey suffered from insomnia. She tossed about in bed until dawn before she fell into a slumber. The consequence is that the sun well and truly raised, but she was still sleeping in her room. The president was impatient and ordered the old housekeeper, "Old you, call her to come down." Yes. So, the old housekeeper pedaled upstairs to call Du Lacey out of bed. After a while, the old housekeeper came back down, reporting to the president, "Madam would not get up." Lian Jun calmly said without the slightest change in emotions, "Call again." So the old housekeeper pedaled up the stairs once again. After a while he returned and said the following sentence, reporting to the president, "Madam still refused to get up. Call again. Ellipsis ellipsis." Thus, more than a dozen the old housekeeper kept running back and forth, running until he was almost out of breath. Du Lacey was still sleeping. Reporting to the president. Mad. Madam still won't get up. Call again. The old housekeeper was going crazy. If he knew earlier he would have eaten a few more caps. At this time Du Lacey, who was called repeatedly a dozen times, suddenly woke up. She yawned as she made her way downstairs. Taking a few steps, Du Lacey suddenly noticed the atmosphere felt strange. Looking around she jumped. She saw the old housekeeper downstairs staring at her with a savior glaze. That expression was difficult to describe with words. Du Lacey walked past and saw the president sitting in his chair flipping through documents. Oh, why does the president seem a bit different from yesterday? Dressed in casual clothes, his nose also wore a pair of black glasses. Compared to the suit and tie he wore yesterday, it was a lot more softer. It even gave a bit homely man feel. Being preoccupied, the president suddenly said the following words, "Come here." He was talking her. Du Lacey was startled and slowly walked over. The president turned a few more pages of the documents before placing it aside along with his glasses, before raising his head to Du Lacey and said, "Sit down and eat." Du Lacey just noticed the breakfast on the table. The most important thing was she found there was a set in front of the president as well. Could it be the president ate breakfast so late because he was waiting for her? Du Lacey suddenly have an overwhelmed feeling by an unexpected favor. At this time, Lian Jun lowered his head and started to eat his breakfast. Could it be the president suddenly found his conscience, so he wanted to dine breakfast with her, or did he have something to say to her? If not, this appeared to be out of his usual own style. Du Lacey decided to best to dine with the president and follow his moves. Should she start the conversation? Du Lacey thought for a long time and said a trifle sentence, "Today the weather is great." When she finished there was no response from the president's side. Perhaps he didn't hear her. So Du Lacey spoke again, "You don't have work today." This time, the president responded with a simple, So Du Lacey felt encouraged and decided to continue, "Such a big house, there's only one person living here." At this time, the president raised his head and looked at her for a moment. He appeared slightly unhappy, which made her feel a bit nervous. Could it be she provoked the president's mood? As Du Lacey was making blind and disorderly conjectures, Lian Jun suddenly asked, "Did you wash your face?" Du Lacey blankly shook her head. "You didn't wash up and came down to eat." The president's face was black. He turned to the old housekeeper said, "Old you take her to wash up." No wonder the president wasn't happy because he's a clean freak. After washing her face, Du Lacey passed through the living room. She suddenly felt something was wrong. Looking carefully again, she found the original position the garbage can was placed. The lion has disappeared. A Chinese crested dog sat on the ground replacing it. Du Lacey was embarrassed, so it seems that her image in the president's eyes resembles to a dog and the most ugly breed as well. I didn't want to supply an image of this breed of dog, it's too ugly and scary. Thus, Du Lacey angrily was prepared to settle the scores with the president. When she arrived in the living room, she found that the president has already changed into a suit sitting on the sofa, and Jason the assistant have stood by holding a bag. Completely ignoring the annoyed expression on Du Lacey's face, the president's hands pointed towards the bag within Jason's hands and said, "This bag for you." For her. Du Lacey took the bag, one glance and saw that it was a dress. "This is for me." Du Lacey stared at the president. What is the president doing? He waited for her to eat breakfast, and gifted her a dress as well. Du Lacey finally became wary. The president must be scheming. Her guesses were right. The president was indeed scheming, he wanting to take her to the hospital to see the old madam. The old madam. Du Lacey's impression of the old madam were like what appeared in dramas. She'll be proud and arrogant, wearing luxurious things with an eccentric character, one of those rich ladies who always wore a black face. Just like Tsukasa Domuji's mother, upon meeting Makino Tsukushi for the first time she was picky and spoke harsh criticism. Thinking of this point, Du Lacey suddenly panicked. The old madam wouldn't jump out of bed and strangle her, right? When in actual fact, the old madam really did jump up from the bed, but she didn't strangle Du Lacey, instead she firmly grasped Du Lacey's hands. Why is that? Because the old madam likes Du Lacey. Why does the old madam like Du Lacey? The reason is very simple. The old madam felt that Du Lacey wasn't beautiful enough for her picky grandson to take fancy in her. If there's no external beauty, then it must be an inner beauty. The rich and influential's thinking is always particularly strange. The old madam wasn't afraid that her grandson couldn't marry a beautiful wife. She was more afraid that he'll marry a beautiful wife who only had eyes for money and discarded her grandson. And because Du Lacey wasn't beautiful enough, so that the old madam felt that her granddaughter-in-law is honest, practical, was different from those women who eyed on the Lian family's assets and fortunes. Because the old madam was happy, her illness improved instantly, she was able to eat, drink and get out of bed, her spirits was better than before hospitalization. The doctors also thought this was a miracle, but Du Lacey was a fool. Wasn't the old madam fast approaching to see the Buddha? How did she all of a sudden become so radiant, and full of energy? If this trend continues, when could she leave this marriage? For someone who just got married was thinking how to get divorced, Du Lacey is also considered modern China's first. But her mind wasn't finished worrying when trouble came. Ever since the old madam has seen Du Lacey, she felt that her granddaughter-in-law is a good girl. How could her grandson just register their marriage and just bring her home? Regardless they officially wed, they should grandly and magnificently wed. The old madame's legs were sore and fell on the bed. Falling on the bed wasn't painful, she cried out because she wanted her grandson and granddaughter-in-law to have a proper wedding. She shouted and shouted until the president finally couldn't handle it anymore. So the president decided to ask the president's bride, of her opinion, for the wedding. Do you like Western or Chinese style?